And we're off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Forts Pro League, where here we have on the left-hand side, it is Malm and Poolboy team. This is Forts. They're playing as the Firebird Commander. You see that right? Things are about to get hot and spicy. As they're playing against their opponents on the right-hand side, it's Team Deathwing. Now, I don't know about you, but bringing Firebird against Deathwing sounds like a strategic mistake, but we'll see how this goes, as Team Deathwing is playing as the Warthog Commander. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been enjoying our journey through the Forts Pro League Season 6. As well, it's coming to an end. By that, I mean the season finale, the big live stream with the finals is happening this Saturday, which will be a fair few hours, just a few hours, but some hours after the release of this video, so make sure not to miss it. And if you are watching past the Saturday in which this video is released, then, well, make sure to check the VOD, because it's gonna be a good one. Thus far, all the matches have been absolutely amazing, and you guys don't want to miss out. So make sure to hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, because we got more content like this coming out every single week, multiple times a week. And things are kicking off here with Team Deathwing bringing the sniper to bear, causing Team This Is Forts to bring multiple snipers out. We'll see who wins this sniper duel as everyone is off to the races. Looks like we're seeing, I'm going to say, a standard build order toward heavy weapons tech. That is to say, the Tier 1 tech upgrade centers along the way, so they can get all their eco upgrades, and then we'll get to see heavy weapons of some caliber. We are actually seeing Team Deathwing go for the portal nuke strat. It's rare to see portal nukes developed first, at least without the Seep commander, that is to say. Going with a standard style play, going portal nukes is unusual just because it takes a while to get out, and most teams prefer more aggressive openers with a healthy dose of heavy weapons. But we're actually getting a little bit of aggression at a team. This is Forts. They're going with a line of incendiary mortars up top. Here we see for Malm. I will expect these to become heavy mortars at some point, but at least for the moment, things are going to get hot. We are seeing machine gunners and anti-air developed for both players for Team Deathwing, so there's a way of responding to this. And swarm missiles. Okay, so we're... It is an unusual build order for everyone involved at this point, and you know what? I'm into it. I like this. I like this a lot. I think the Firebird play is going to make a difference here, but we'll see if that difference is enough to give them victory. As Deathwing, I like what Deathwing is doing here. So most of the time when we see these portal nukes, they'll go up to 4 swarm missiles, and I've said it every time when they do this, they almost never get to use that 4th swarm missile just because it's too energy expensive. So sticking with only 2 makes me happy. I do think that they'll want to go up to 3 relatively quickly, but getting just 2 on the board and sending shots out is, I think, way better than going 4 and just sitting there for a while. My question will be, will Malm be able to get these mortars actually on target? Now, the strategy for this particular variant is to go fire beams and use the fire beams to burn anti-air out of the sky and enable those mortars to land their shots. That seems to be what Malm is going for. I'm partial to, if I'm doing this, not revealing that I'm going mortars until I have the fire beam out, or at least until I have heavy mortars developed. That way I can hit at, you know, the 5.5 minute mark with just a surprise amount of mortar fire that can be, you know, lethal within 2 volleys. But they've decided to go with the early reveal just to apply pressure, and you know what? That's not a bad thing. It causes delays to the enemy's build orders. It causes a reaction. I'm entirely certain that the friction, strife, and chaos afflicted upon the opponents was not nearly worth the price that Malm paid for those mortars, but we will see how that pays out in the end. There's certainly a little bit more time before that becomes a big deal. Poolboy needs to get his portal system set up, whereas Deathwing is already firing their first nuke. Enough anti-air on the board to take that out without any kind of real chance of it getting across the board. I like to see it. A plasma beam first from Malm. So this will mean that it's not a fire beam to defend the mortars. The mortars are not going to be the primary weapon here. At least not yet. The mortars at this point are really just psychological damage. Okay. I'm okay with this. I have questions, but you know what? I like to see them answered by mortar fire. I'm just happy to see mortars. Mortars make me happy. You guys know this. I talk about this like every time we're playing during community nights or whatnot. It's a good time all around. There is so much anti-air on the board for Team Deathwing right now. Holy smokes. It is overwhelming. I find it extremely unlikely that we're going to see Team This Is Forts managing to get any real damage done here. Yes, sure, there's going to be 2 swarm missiles, 2 nukes, and a plethora of mortars. A whole array of mortars, but that's just so much anti-air. I'm entirely certain that both teams are going to need a heavy reliance on fire beams just to have any hope of getting shots across the board. And even then, it's not particularly likely. Except for Team This Is Forts, which doesn't have nearly enough anti-air on the board. There's like 1 machine gunner in line of sight. Alright, we have the first missile launch. Not quite chain fired, but it's close. You definitely needed to. This is an acceptable time to group fire, I think, because you needed to get it all out during the commander active, which he did. So good work. Damage has been dealt. There's actually a lot of damage. Those nukes made it across pretty cleanly. A lot of the anti-air was removed at a perfectly appropriate time. Now, this is where things hit that stability point. Both teams are sizing each other up, they're recovering from mutual damage, and they're going to start flinging shots at each other. This means that both teams are looking to stabilize. Ooh. And as both teams take hits, they're going to start recovering and focusing on their own defense, and it's going to slow the game pace down a bit. Which is a little bit counterintuitive to those who see just a lot of weapons on the board and think, how could this possibly slow down? It's because they're chipping away at each other. And the players individually have to make the decision to either accept immediate loss of game or repair their base. Because if they're repairing their base and spending their income on repairs, they're not spending it on doing damage. So they kind of have to choose between one or the other. They'll occasionally fling stuff at each other again, as they are doing right now. But there's going to be a shot, a build-up phase, another shot. And as it seems, we have some damage dealt, but nothing critical. I say as if his core isn't burning here. One swarm missile manages to go up and touch the core itself, which is, you know, terrifying. And due to the Firebird effect, it became on fire, very on fire. Did some damage. But that's the kind of damage you're not too concerned about. Oh, okay. Well, Pool Boy is just vulnerable to Buzzsaw. Like, straight up elimination via Buzzsaw. Which is, you know, a little bit terrifying to be Pool Boy, but this is what's happening here. And the nukes fire. It's not enough anti-air on the board again. Ooh. Okay. Get another pretty heavy hit here, but this should be time and opportunity for a nuclear reply, as that sniper... Oh, the sniper isn't yet online, but it should be able to come online and fire here in a second. Yeah, there's just not enough anti-air for either team anymore. They've been kind of shut down, as now it's time to return fire. The mortars come back. Oh. One of those nukes burns out, the other one makes it. We have some heavy damage, and it's penetrating. The nuke's open to the armor, the plasma's cut through. That is, you know, name a better duo. There's very few better duos. That's a pretty standard affair. But massive damage has been dealt. Actually, surprisingly, not that much damage has been dealt. Like, the laser went deep and touched things, but it didn't touch big, important, expensive things, which is a surprise given how deep it went. So we're back into the teams are building up phase. We're really getting to the point where the players have potentially lethal amounts of firepower on the board that just isn't being constantly used because it's scary to use your firepower instead of, you know, defending yourself. As we have additional mortars added in for the top base here, extra lasers added in over here. Malm has changed all of his incendiaries over to heavy mortars and blocked them off in exchange for covering fire from his opponent's mortars. The missiles are launching on all sides. And... oh, another hit. The swarm missiles make it through. Everything burns. Mortars make it through. Nukes will collide with the front of the armor. But the lower core here down... Deathwing's got a core down to 14%. That's not ideal. That's not the world in which you want to live if you're Team Deathwing here. Uh-oh. He catches it with a sandbag. You'd love to see it. Missiles launched on all sides. Pool boy struggling so hard to fire that fourth missile launch. But missiles make it. The anti-air has been largely suppressed for both sides. Team Mrs. Forts has more anti-air than Deathwing at this point, but as you can see, it is struggling here. It's still, the missiles are still getting across. It's still taking a lot of hits. That sandbag is just... Malm placing the sandbag inside the mortars as they land is helping a lot. Ooh, both missiles shut down. Team Mrs. Forts' anti-air actually manages to work flawlessly this time, but it costs him just about all of it. As it is time to reply. Pool boy actually has enough energy to fire everything this time, and it's all incendiary. Empowered with fire. Those mortars hitting, but it's just not critical damage. It's scary damage, it's big damage, but it's not critical damage. It's just not quite enough. Now that's devastating. Oh no. The back, the fourth. It all comes crumbling down. Well, there's an even trade, or should I say a not so even trade. Team This Is Forts loses a player, Deathwing loses a player, but the damage dealt to Team Deathwing was substantially greater. Just on tally of resources and resources lost off of that exchange, Team This Is Forts just has so much more remaining. The entirety of Pool Boy's weapons survived that exchange, as well as all of his mines, none of his turbines. But on the other side, Deathwing lost all their weapons and basically everything else. Oh, that's huge. Deathwing just lost every single one of their mines. And these nukes get shut down. Those are some beautiful, great gunnery on those gunners. They are well paid. This is where things are going to get really dire for Team Deathwing. The last remaining player has fraction of the economy they once had. They still possess their weapons, at least in terms of the nukes, but those 2 nukes without the firebeam support are going to struggle to get anything done. There are no proper heavy weapons on the board, which means no guaranteed damage. No consistent damage, I should say. So Team This Is Fort's, you know, the 1 player left. All he needs, really, is enough energy production to fire his weapons consistently. And then just fire his weapons consistently. And that's exactly what he's doing, as we're seeing additional energy added in. And it looks like he knew what his fate would be, as Team Deathwing concedes, and This Is Forts takes round 1 in this best of 3. And we're off to round 2, where here we have on the left-hand side, the sides have been swapped. It is Team Deathwing, playing as the Armadillo commander. A popular commander pick for many a reason. They're playing against their opponents on the right-hand side in the red fort. It is Team This Is Forts. And they're playing as a Seep commander. Okay, so this is probably going to get exciting real quick. My question is, what flavor of swarm missiles are they going for with this? Like, I guess theoretically they could go for rockets, but this is not a rocket map. This is a missile map, and specifically, this is a pool boy gets 4 swarm missile launchers and then throws missiles at your opponent's kind of map. So I'm into that. I'm into that a lot. The question is, of course, what flavor? Because there's a couple flavors they could build here. I'm wondering if the lower fort here will go for just laser weaponry, or what is the plan? What is the plan? We've seen a lot of this build end up with 1 player going just pure portal nukes and a block of armor, like an impenetrable, hyper efficient block of armor in front of their core, which makes it not just daunting, but completely a mistake to try to blast away. Whereas the lower fort usually goes for laser weaponry and general defensiveness to support the mass nuke strategy. Whereas on this side, it's Armadillo. Now, Armadillo is kind of I'm going to describe it as a boring commander, in that it doesn't do anything particularly wild, zany, risky. Its whole gimmick is extra defenses. Or should I say cheaper defenses, you know. Metal is cheaper, you get extra repair cost reduction, faster doors, so everything is safer. It's just quite literally everything Armadillo is safer and cheaper, and it just works out that, well, you want to go late game with it and then win a war of attrition by virtue of not having as much upkeep doing anything. So that's just kind of how that works. Now nukes, on the other hand, they do a lot of damage. Armadillo, you know, technically handles it better than any other commander, but man, that's a lot of damage. And it is a completely unsustainable amount of damage, you know, assuming that you get hit by them, which is not a good assumption. Not a good assumption at all. Now, this is something we haven't seen. So, I lied. Technically, Armadillo gets something interesting. This is a level 2 minigunner. That is, you know, a third upgrade. You start with the gunner, you upgrade it to a minigunner, and then you upgrade it to a super minigunner. Or should I say, it's an armor-piercing minigunner. It's a minigunner which shoots armor-piercing shells, just like the sniper has armor-piercing shells. Which means that if you put something behind a single door, it gets penned, and the minigunner just pens clean through and breaks it. It's not a great tool, but it is fun. It doesn't really do additional damage, so it's not like you're getting much out of it by using an AP minigunner instead of a standard minigunner. But it does do a bit more damage overall, in that the shots will penetrate a piece of wood and hit a second piece of wood, you know, doubling the repair bill, as it were. Don't really have anything to say about it. We've done some videos on it. It's just fine. They exist. They are almost never used for anything. They're just kind of expensive and hard to fit into a build order. But you know what? It's there, and I appreciate Deathwing for putting it up there, as they sell it off. Rip minigunner. You are gone. Forever. Never to be seen again. We are in fact getting the mass nuke strategy with a dauntingly girthy set of wood out front, so... We are also getting energy weaponry down here in the lower fort. I'm looking to see if it's like mass fire beams or if it's fire beam, plasma beam, or just plasma beams is what I'm looking for there. On the other side here, we do have a mixed set of weaponry, which I believe is the most appropriate set. We have one player going lasers, one player going cannons. I'd love to see it. For a second I thought he was going howitzer, but it's standard cannon. Worth noting. We have a plasma. Are we getting a fire beam placed here? Or what's... I'm hoping for a fire beam here, just to get the fire beam, plasma beam, but double plasma is also a good tactic. Especially against mass nukes. Yes, great. So we are seeing double plasma here. Double plasma is quite effective against the, I guess, fire beams are as well. But against the mass nuke strategy, the laser weaponry are just kind of, I don't want to say mandatory, but incredibly useful, especially if you are against a player that likes to group fire. As you can just use one charge of your energy weaponry to burn the nuke side of the sky. And then you just kind of invalidated the entirety of your opponent's strategy, and then you can do other things like use a second plasma beam on them. It's very effective. Comes highly recommended. Thus far, everyone's content to just build up. Everyone's taken a standard route. No rushing here. I'm actually kind of surprised. Pool Boy's gotten his setup here a lot quicker. No, I'm going to say notably quicker than most, which is impressive. I like what I'm seeing here. I like it a lot. Portals are coming online. Pool Boy does actually have the energy built up in order to fire this. I definitely does not have enough energy production to refire it with any decent cycle time, but Commander Relate's active. You did fire. Good job. You did it. Here come the missiles, and the plasma not reacting appropriately. Oh. It burns one nuke out of the sky, and the other one just misses. It didn't get drunk or anything, it just missed, which happens sometimes. Welcome to missiles. But that is an unfortunate first shot for Team This Is Forts. They would really have liked to land that, because now that they've revealed that their nukes are fully operational, and their battle station is ready to blow, well, Team Deathwing is going to be keeping a real tight eye on things. Oof. Close. Oh my god, it's dodging so hard. Oh my god, it made it all the way across. Okay, no. Not like this. That thing was dodging, diving and dodging again. Holy smokes. Well, welcome to the drunken nuke launcher time. That's just how that goes. It's 4 o'clock here somewhere. Because these guys are wildin'. Another commander active ability, which means nuclear launch detected. Oh, he tried and missed the nukes both times at the plasmas. They both land, and that's a lot of damage. Deathwing loses a cannon, saves the second one, and no laser follow-up from Malm. Malm hasn't activated his lasers yet. It's at the 9-minute mark, and he's got 2 plasmas ready to go and hasn't used either of them. That's a surprise to me, as it looks like Pool Boy's not quite ready to get his nukes on cycle time yet. He needs even more energy production than he currently possesses, which is You can tell because he's upgrading his everything, and he needs it. Like, he actually just needs it. He probably needs a few extra turbines back there. This is such this is such a power-hungry setup. Howitzer is an interesting call out of the lower fort here for Deathwing. I don't dislike it, but I don't have a strong opinion on it either way. Personally, I do prefer cannons in this scenario. But it is here, and it can do things. One nuke taken out, second one taken out. Ooh, devastating. Malm opening his plasma. You look at it. Open it up for like the first time and getting instantly door sniped. You love to see it. Unless you're Malm, then that feels really bad. Like, that just feels really bad to suffer that. Like, that's painful. As here come the missiles again. Plasma taking out both nukes, and swarms just kind of splashing across the base. That was almost another door snipe. Oh, wow, that was intense. Alright, pool boy. You've got energy production now. Not quite battleship's energy production, but it's close. And it's fueling all those missiles. Both nukes taken out. I'm trying so hard. There is an array, like a full battery of flak being added onto Team Deathwing. So those missiles are going to have a much more rough go of things than they have been thus far. When nuke makes it, they are actually getting hits with these missiles. Like, this is not inconsequential. It's just not enough. I had said earlier that the nukes do a lot of damage, and not even Armadillo can sustain those hits, but at the moment they've taken enough punch out of the nukes to just keep taking the hits and building up. Pool Boy needs to upgrade those swarms over to nukes just to have a chance of doing enough damage. Like, sure, the extra nukes are less likely to get across, but you gotta try something. Of course, that costs extra energy, which is, you know, not easily available right now. As another door snipe, another cannon blasted. Pool Boy adding on even more energy production. Do it? Not quite. Yeah, I would like to see these two swarms upgraded the nukes, and then maybe another column of wind turbines added in behind. You can use ropes. Pool Boy, you can use ropes. You don't have to rely on... It's fine. You got this. You can do it. I believe in you. Honestly, the sniping from Team Deathwing has been pretty good. This is for its slacking a little on snipers, I think. At least at the moment. I would also like to see an AP sniper out of Team This Is Forts, just to get an extra layer of nuisance against their opponents. Of course, AP snipers are a pretty APM-heavy investment, which makes them rough. A swing and a miss from Malm. The howitzer isn't knocked out of the sky and slams into Malm's forehead. Ooh, group fire and immediate punishment. One of the abilities of the Seep Commander is that the nukes, when they are destroyed, become swarm missiles, which means that they can cover for other nukes. You can use nukes as swarm missiles to cover for other nukes. You can just kind of build all the nukes and let it go. Like, you're at 15k energy, which means you have the storage to... Oh no. A shot from on high. There was just a hole in the defense that wasn't patched. Malm goes down and loses everything in the process. Now, at this point, Malm definitely needs these nukes. There's no follow-up. If one nuke lands, you need to have a second and a third nuke land to deal the damage. There's no laser follow-up that could even hope to deal the damage afterwards. As it looks like Team Deathwing is lining up with an array of buzzsaws to shred through Poolboy's armor. This is actually looking pretty grim here for Team This Is Forts. Like, yes, there's a lot of damage on the board. Yes, there's a potential lethal worth of damage on the board if all of these shots here land, if all the missiles land, but the chances of that happening is extremely low, whereas Team Deathwing has guaranteed damage on the board and can just kind of chip away at Poolboy's progress. Not to mention, the lasers are doing a good job of keeping the nukes down. Like, Poolboy needs to do something else here. Now, something else he has chosen to do is laser weaponry of his own, but I don't know. I do like the laser weapon of his own. He started tech switching to lasers a while ago and had just about completed his first fire beam when it got taken out. Plasma still under construction. The fire beam is pretty critical to getting weapons across at this point, as it deters much of this kinetic lead weaponry, lead-based anti-air, but it does nothing to stop the laser fire, and the laser fire is the real problem here in terms of defeating the nukes. And the only way to deal with that is to just have more nukes, or door snipe it with your own plasma. That's a good call too. It's especially true because you can predictably understand when the opponent is going to fire their laser at you due to, well, the big announcement of when you're firing your missiles. And that's exactly what he does, or at least tries to do. It doesn't quite line up the shot. No, actually, I'm wrong. He completely lined up that shot. Okay, is this lethal here? Nope. Oh, the energy shield. I wasn't going to say anything until it was happening, but top base went for a Magna Beam, meaning that all these cannons in the lower fort here for Team Deathwing will be able to fire and have the wrap. The shots go directly into the core from below or elsewhere. It's generally upwards from the lower quadrant. We have door snipe attempts for everyone involved. Poolboy baiting open Deathwing's laser doors with his missiles, and then firing at the plasma beam while it's going. Oh, here it comes. You can do it. Were you not prepared? You're not really prepared, were you? No, you weren't prepared. Okay. Well, a little bit of lack of communication on the teammates on the team, of Team Deathwing, but they'll be ready for next time. I believe it. Poolboy preparing to launch again. Now, the question is, will Poolboy manage to get the door snipe here? Is he not firing? Oh, he lost his sniper at the he lost his sniper. Okay, that's what happened. You know what? That makes sense. And here it comes. Okay, come on. You can do it. You didn't do it. But door snipe happens. Poolboy loses his plasma, which is unfortunate for Poolboy, and he didn't even get the door snipe in exchange. So Deathwing is just kind of scaling up a lot. There are more and more weapons on the board. We're seeing plasmas. We're seeing... Did he lose his sniper again? Is that what happened here? He lost his sniper again. Well, that's unfortunate for him. You see, that's more like it. Now send those cannon shells up Poolboy's backside. Okay, never mind. Yeah, that's... I am disappointed in you, sir. I shouldn't be. He was out of energy. He was completely out of energy. So, it is perfectly predictable that he would not be able to fire his weapons because he wasn't able to fire his weapons. And is that lethal? It is. Triple plasma straight to the core. And down he goes. Team Deathwing wins round 2 in this best of 3, so we're going to the decider. And we're off to round 3 in this best of 3, where the sides have been swapped once more. As here we have on the left-hand side, it is team This Is Forts, playing as the Warthog commander for that extra punchy heavy weapons. They're playing against their opponents on the right-hand side. It is team Deathwing, who are playing as the Overdrive commander. Some late-game commanders on both sides here. Expecting to see pretty standard builds. Not expecting to see rushes or anything particularly unusual. I say that, but realistically, any of these commanders can do anything they want. It's just that generally speaking, if you're coming in with a plan, and that plan involves being cheesy or aggressive, then you'll want to pick a commander that benefits being cheesy or aggressive. So if you're playing a commander like either of these, that benefit later gameplay or heavy weapons, then generally that means that you have a plan to go later game or heavy weapons, and therefore I would infer that you intend to skip doing early aggression stuff. Not to say it can't be done. Malm is building down swarm missiles. Okay. As I was saying, early game aggression stuff. Alright. Boy is selling off his workshop, so this is... and his storage. So this is aggressive. Rushing out nukes as fast as possible. Pool boy. Also doing a rushy laser build as well. If they're doing what I think they're doing, which I suspect they are, then this is going to be fire beams from Pool Boy, nukes from Malm, and they're just going to try to do an alpha strike, which involves using a fire beam to cover for the nukes and just blasting one of these players out of the game as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not going to say this is a reaction, because I mean, it kind of was a reaction. But we are seeing Malm getting punished here for his early rush tactics. Because this kind of rush doesn't do eco. I mean, the man has 3 mines, which is not many mines at all. And, well, their opponents have recognized that he's doing an early rush and doesn't have the eco to function on any real sense. So what do? They build minigunners. And then just started pelting his face. And that's gonna completely shut down his plans. Because now he doesn't have turbines anymore. With no turbines, he can't realistically fire his weapons. He still fires swarms every now and again because they're swarms and they're cheap. But trying to get nukes on the board is a problem. Look at that, no more turbines. And with only 3 mines, he really doesn't have the money to be reconstructing these things. So Malm has been... defeated isn't the right word, but basically locked in place for the foreseeable future. And now Team Deathwing is just going to kind of grow. Like, they have significant economic advantage. Sure, the front fort here has been delayed just about as badly as Malm has been delayed, but at least he has higher eco, and so if he continues being delayed, he's going to pull ahead over his opponent. Honestly, quite quickly. It's not even going to be a slow runaway. It's not like okay, we're going to be here for 15 minutes until he eventually takes over. No, this is going to be... Malm is going to be very far behind over in the next minute or two. Like, Team This Is Forts has limited time to make this work. I would have liked to see a fire beam first from Pool Boy, and Malm just doing anything you can to get this first nuke on the board. Like, he needs to be saving his energy, which he can't really do. I'm trying to think. Do you just go angled armor here? You've got to, like, slant your armor here. Like, there's not really much else I think you can do as Malm. But he doesn't have the money to even purchase metal armor. Like, just... oh, boy. He doesn't even have a sniper on the board. This is really unfortunate for Team This Is Forts. They are not surviving this. And look at this. Multiple buzzsaws now on the board. this is potentially lethal. Deathwing has multiple flavors of lethal on Malm right now. Once those buzzsaws come online, they can either slice through the bottom near the foundation or shred the armor in front of the core and use the AP sniper to remove the core itself. Now, Malm is close to having the energy. Oh, he was going for the turbines to slow him down even further. That's just sadistic. That's like playing with your food right there. Alright, fire beam, plasma beam combo from on high. Burned things out of the sky. Let this nuke land. Open it up for the plasma to follow through. That's the plan here, and they wanted to do this like 60 seconds ago. A little early on the missile launch, or a little early on the fire beam. But solid damage. The front fort of Team Deathwing loses everything in terms... They just completely everything shredded off the top of their fort. That'll hurt their energy production and the bits of armor and weaponry they had up there. The buzzsaws are removed. They're finished for Team Deathwing, so... Oh! Not like this. Oh, I had so much hope for you. Things weren't going great, but they were going, and you were fighting back, and suddenly it all comes crumbling down. Just too much deforming, too much chaos, too much damage received. Those minigunners doing a lot more than just emotional damage. But it was enough to break him. It's been 7 minutes, and still, Team Deathwing up here is just getting down their first cannon. You know what? They can afford it. They don't have to rush it. They haven't had to rush it. They've just had to stay alive, and well, they've handled that very well. Now this is Forts. It is Pool Boy's last stand. Honestly, he can do a lot of work here. The problem he's going to encounter is that there's about to be a lot of energy shields everywhere. As you can see, this core is completely covered. This core isn't, but the weapons are covered with energy shields, and there's really not many places he can deal real damage. Now, I'm going to look at these forts and attempt to discern where could he deal damage with his weapons in order to pick away at the opponents or make a stage a comeback here in some way. The only places I can think of are the foundation here, which is unlikely to deal... He might take out a couple mines, but it's unlikely to deal any kind of real game-ending damage. Potentially the only real game-ending damage would come from this point right here, and even then, I'm reasonably certain that it wouldn't do it. If he breaks this, we're going to see, as we have seen many times before, the fort get yanked down and deform. Will that be enough to pull the core off of its foundations and cause it to collapse? In this case, I'm reasonably certain the answer is no, but it could happen. The problem here for Pool Boy is that both players for Team Deathwing have been playing quite cautiously. They're not rushing things out, they're not taking risks, they're just kind of festering, slowly growing, and then preparing to ramp up the pressure. You can see this in the form of mortars behind very raised shields. Like, what does Pool Boy do here? Like, he can't take out those mortars, not without mortars of his or indirect fire of his own. He's gonna build machine gun trenches to prevent the mortars from being a real threat. He does penetrate. He gets some solid damage. He now officially has enough to break through the armor with a fire beam double plasma, which is all fine and dandy, but as you can see, no structural damage. It's all fine. The stability tech completely online and intact. He loses, sure, he did some internal damage, took out a mine, took out a tech, specifically the upgrade center, but he's not gonna hit anything more important than that, and there's just no hope. Like, that was never going to eliminate the core. There was no real weapons over there he could wipe out, and now there's an energy shield covering that weak spot in particular, so that's not going to happen again. You would have to choose a different target. And there's the energy shield reveal. Tries to aim differently and doesn't quite make it, and there's a door snipe. Pool boy loses the plasma, and with that plasma loss, it's gonna be so much more difficult to get anything done here. This looks like it's developed in a way such that if one cannon goes, it will potentially drop the other cannon onto the core, which could mean that if this cannon specifically gets door sniped, not the top one, but if this cannon specifically gets door sniped, we might see an elimination of the entirety of Deathwing's topmost core. Should I say rear core? Rear core. That's going to make things... That is such a difficult shot to make. And he hasn't even revealed that those cannons exist yet. I mean, he can make a good assumption that the cannons exist based on the howitzer firing, and that, well, that base hasn't fired any weapons yet beyond that single howitzer. So he's not going to be sitting there waiting for those doors to open. That's just not going to be the case. But if he isn't, then there's just no real chance of him getting damage done there. And if he doesn't get the damage done, well, it'll just be a slow grind. Grind to defeat. I'm rooting for Pool Boy here. I want to see how he can pull this off. The machine gunners... Oh no, not like this. The cannon shell just dropped in from on high. Pool Boy has no more active plasmas. Oh, it hurts so much. It hurts so much to see that. He's building another one, but that's still time spent before it becomes active. Okay, well... Team Deathwing is looking like they have a massive lead here. What a way to go. I do like the use of the mortars here. Forcing response from Pool Boy. The mortars are basically defeated by virtue of sufficient anti-air trenches of gunners on Pool Boy's base, but it forces a response in a way that is problematic for Pool Boy to handle. It creates weaknesses in places where there wouldn't. That's suddenly doing real damage. Those mortars ignited and landed. Starting to break Pool Boy's base here. Like real structural damage. If this howitzer impacts, it does. That's going to leave it all crumbling down. I'm a little surprised Pool Boy survived the direct impact, but he didn't for long as Team Deathwing wins round 3 and brings themselves closer to victory.